We've got another big system moving into the northwest, and another one, and another one. Yeah, the point is it's going to be a stormy pattern persisting in that area at least through mid-November, with fall warmth also building eastward, making the headlines. But another big story is that we have a stormy mid-November coming in the south. All those details are right here.
One Nation Weather.
Thank you so much for being with me. Times on the radar in this graphic are going to be in Eastern time, but I'm going to have those Pacific time listings on your screen. So let's go ahead and begin. We've got rainfall pushing into western Washington and western Oregon, and I mean Washington State, by the way. As we start our weekend for us here, happy Friday night going into our Saturday for us here, by the way. You made it to the end of the week. We've got a little bit of snowfall into the northern parts of Washington there in the mountains, but overall this is a mainly rain event. Even as it hits the mountains, you can see I've got it in a 3D mode here. You can see some of the precipitation pushing eastward towards portions of northern Idaho as well as northwestern Montana as we go into the day on your Saturday. Might start off as a snow event towards a place like, say, Missoula, Montana for us there. So that'll be interesting to watch for there. Other than that, zooming this out, you can see, a few more rain bands pushing on shore. With this system, honestly, a little bit of an atmospheric river, but not necessarily the worst thing. Very heavy rainfall, though, and we could see some flooding get spawned out of this, especially along that immediate Pacific Northwest coastline. Notice, as well as we go towards our Saturday evening, a little bit of light snowfall developing into southwestern Montana as well as northwestern Wyoming. Overall, though, not many impacts other than in portions of far northern California and the Pacific Northwest, as we've got high pressure in the east, and that's really going to take hold. Maybe some light ice accretion into portions of northern Minnesota on your Saturday, but that looks to be a pretty low on the story list for us here overall, as that's going to be a pretty weak system and might not even produce anything, just the HRRR jumping on that a little bit. Anyway, let me quit mumbling about that, and let's talk about the rainfall through your Wednesday, November 8th. We're talking about at least 3 inches of rain over most of the northwestern coastline, with some spots as banks up against some of the mountains there, up to 6 inches of rain. Now, your future rain radar with the European model, you can see, again, there's some precipitation hitting the northwestern coastline on our Saturday. The entire eastern part of the country dry, and in fact, we're going to play a little game here in this video, and we're going to play Spot the Precip. There's just a little bit in eastern Kansas for us there on your Saturday, but other than that, completely dry. Oh, man, there's a little bit of a system there Sunday night going into our Monday over the north central part of the country, but other than that, not a lot going on. So that's really the story there. And then notice, of course, the West Coast still getting some of the rainfall. So unless you're in the Pacific Northwest, don't prepare for much over the course of the next 5 days. Though we will get a little bit of that system on our Tuesday. Yep. So we'll be spotting the precip for you there into portions of the Northeast. But overall, most of that precipitation, and it will be falling mostly as snow, but that's going to be outside of our USA border for us there, and into portions of southeastern Canada. Again, still a slightly active pattern over the northwestern states, and eventually what happens in the west translates to the east, but it's going to take a while for that to happen, and it's not really even until we head towards, say, about a week from as I'm filming this, towards your Thursday, towards your Friday. This is November 10th. A little bit of a front trying to sag southeastward, kind of a hidden front, kind of, a sneaky cold front for us here that's not producing much precip as it makes its way southward. Also notice we've got another trough hitting portions of the west coast at this time. But what that's really going to do is it's going to supply some moisture to portions of Texas, as the models, and most models are actually showing right now. And it's looking like we could see pretty much the entire state of Texas begin to get in on some sort of action as we head towards the next weekend, so about 8 to 10 days out from now. Whenever you're watching this, this is November 12th that we're looking at here, heading towards that time frame. And it's looking like that could begin to kick up a southerly flow and begin to get, some sort of fall storm system, maybe even one that can be on the stronger side, going here over the south central. Notice still some precipitation there in the west, so it becomes a little bit less of a spot the precip game and a little bit more of let's track the systems game at that point. Now, in your temperatures compared to average graphic for us here, this is November 7th, 2023. This is not like saying specifically how far above or below, but if you're within about 5 degrees of normal, you're just in the gray. Pretty much the entire southeastern half of the country is above normal for your November 7th, with just a little area that I'm expecting to be a decent bit below normal, and that's over the northern Great Lakes region, especially in northern Minnesota, as well as the upper peninsula of Michigan. So let's track the temperature anomalies with your GFS model. This is one of the actually the last things I want to do, because we don't have too much going on. 10, 15, 20 degrees above average for a good chunk of the country. In fact, almost all of the country as we start off this new week. So it's hard to believe that we were just talking about that Arctic air coming on down. That's going to be a thing of the past, especially over the southeast, where we're going to see temperatures even into portions of the Midwest, the Mid-South, get about as much as about 20 to 25 degrees above where we should be. The only areas that are maintaining the cooler air than where you should be for this time of the year is going to be in this area where we've got the storm track there from the west coast on over to the northeastern United States. But all little systems that can manage to even make it to the northeast and get past this ridge will definitely not be making it past the southern end of this. And again, 20, 22, 24 degrees above where we should be in some of these areas here, from portions of Texas on up into portions of Missouri as well as Illinois. You can see that kind of fades away in this graphic, but nonetheless, still a little bit warmer than average over the south and really no cooler than average areas. It looks like we might begin to see some cooler than average air spill southward as we head towards, say, at the same time we begin to see some of that precip really get going there in Texas. So that might actually correlate with maybe some sort of front trying to get going there. So what I'm trying to illustrate to you here is that the return of soggy weather is likely by the time we head towards your November 10th, 11th, 12th time frame in Texas and in the Arklatex region, especially there into portions of southern and eastern Texas, into portions of southeastern Oklahoma, as well as western Arkansas and western Louisiana. Those areas are where the precipitation is really looking to be picking back up. This looks like an El Nino precipitation map with drier than average conditions over the northern part of the U.S., with the entire southern corridor as well as up the east coast below, above average in the precip department. So that's actually really interesting to look at. Notice the bullseye though there along the Mexico border there in Texas, with your Storm Prediction Center info showing that any severe weather in terms of climatology data, this is for your 13th of November from, this is a 30-year span that you're looking at of data. Overall, it's pretty typical to see that region that I was just talking about, the rainfall getting going into the Arklatex, to see some severe weather. So if any severe weather were to happen, of course, I would let you know. Stay tuned. I post videos every other day. By the way, I've also got a couple of extra channels here. I'll be doing occasional radar replays on Radar Watch and on Flashback Weather Facts. I intend to post just now and then, giving you a look back at some storms of history. So both of those are pretty interesting. I'll link them in the comments and the description. So go ahead and head on over there, subscribe to this channel, and thanks for watching.